Power seats add a lot of convenience to your vehicle. By holding down a button, you can move the seat back and forth, adjust the height and the angle of the backrest, which is much easier to use than manual cogs and levers. However, power seats come with no backup, so when the system fails, the seat will get stuck in place, and it can be quite difficult to move it manually. Moving a power seat manually is possible, but you'll have to work in a tight area and disassemble parts of the seat. In this article, you'll also find ways to troubleshoot and repair the seat to regain power functionality, so keep reading to learn more. The exact design of the mechanism differs between seats, but the general idea is to place the seat on two rails that look like threaded screws and have the electric-powered motor that simultaneously winds both sides and moves the seat up and down. Manually adjusting the power seat isn't a process you can comfortably do on a daily basis, so you can either lock the seat in a position you're comfortable with and keep it there permanently, or fix the power problem. How to manually move a power seat, tools you'll need. A cordless power drill is essential for this task, as it will allow you to move the seat at a much faster pace. The rail threads are very fine, so moving the seat by hand will take a very long time. The set of screwdrivers will come in handy to disconnect plastic covers and unscrew parts that get in the way. The drill extension might not be necessary, but I've added it just in case you need it. Manually moving the seat. Usually, I'd give you an exact step-by-step guide on how to complete the task, but the differences between seat mechanisms will make it difficult to create a valuable guide for everyone. So instead, I'll give you the broad guidelines on what to do, and I would strongly recommend looking up the schematic of your vehicle's seat. The degree to which you'll have to disassemble the seat again depends on the model. What you're trying to achieve is enough access underneath the seat to be able to manually operate the winding mechanism. Inside the center rail, you'll find a cable that looks a lot like a flexible drill extension. You'd attach one side into the drill and slot the other into the winding mechanism where the cable used to sit. Little by little, you'll alternate between the left and right mechanisms, remembering to switch drill direction so both sides move in the same direction. It's a slow process, but ensures that you won't damage the mechanism and can later repair it without additional expenses. The alternative power method. While looking for different ways to move the power seat, I noticed an interesting guide on powering seats in a vehicle that doesn't have the power seat connections to the battery. This method will not be useful right now, but once we get into the troubleshooting, you can use this method to temporarily power your seat. The instructor has ripped the wires because he sees no use for them, but I wouldn't advise you to do this. You can connect small power lines to the positive and negative of the terminal and run them to the 12V battery of your power drill. This method will only work if the problem isn't in the seat itself, but rather a blown fuse or a bad connection towards the battery. Troubleshooting and fixing the power seat. As weird as it sounds, fixing the problem with the power seat is in most cases easier than manually moving it. Even if the power motor has failed, the disassembling process to gain access to the winding mechanism can be used to access the motor and replace it. Test the seat functions. If your seat has additional functionalities, such as seat height and backrest tilt controls, check them all to see what is and isn't functioning. When none of the systems are functioning, it means that there's a total lack of power. If only the horizontal adjustment isn't working, then the problem is either its independent circuit or the motor. Check the fuse box. Your investigation should always start at the fuse box and circuit breaker. You can visually inspect the fuses or use a multimeter or a test lamp to speed up the process. Set the multimeter to O setting and connect the test probes to expose the pins of a breaker. Any number other than 0 or 0L means that the breaker is fine. However, if it was very hot to the touch as you pulled it out, or if the new breaker clicks as soon as you put it in place, there is a high chance of an electrical problem within the system. To test the fuses, connect the ground and test the lamp to the two exposed bits on the fuse. If you find a faulty, mark its position before replacing it, and try to move the seat. Even if it doesn't work, you've likely fixed a problem elsewhere in the vehicle. Use the owner's manual to cross-reference the position of the fuse and check what it controls. Check the same fuse occasionally to see if it has blown again, which will indicate a power problem in the system. Check the main seat connector. It's possible that the main power connector to the seats has become loose. The rear passenger might have hit it with their foot or a bottle of water rolled into it. Inspecting it will be easier with a 4-door vehicle, as you can open the rear door and kneel outside the vehicle. Find a position that gives you access to the connector and check if it's properly attached. It's possible that the seat isn't receiving any power. Use the test lamp on the ground and power pins of the connector. The ground pin has a black or brown wire sticking out the back, while the power has a red or orange wire. These wires may also be thicker than the others, as they are supposed to withstand greater power. Test lamp should light up as you connect it to the power pin. If that doesn't happen, it means that the seat isn't receiving power, and you'll have to consult with an electrician to further diagnose the problem. Inspect the seat motors. The next step in identifying the problem with the power seat is to detach it from the fixed mounting position and tilt it to the side. You should do so in a manner where the power connector remains attached to the seat, as we'll need the power to figure out which motor has gone bad. The bottom of the seat holds the two motors for moving the seat up and down, one for the tilt adjustment and one for horizontal travel. Motors are relatively simple and are connected by only the ground and power wires. Identify the wires leading towards one of the motors, disconnect them, and attach the ground and positive wire of the test lamp to its power source. Simultaneously, use the switch that controls that motor to see whether power is flowing towards it. If there's no power, the control switch has gone bad. Otherwise, the motor has gone bad and should be replaced. Test the control switch. Pull out the connector switchboard and check if the power plug has become loose. Take a look at the connector pins within the board and see if they're corroded. You can replace the control switch, but if you can, find a scrapyard where you can take a piece and test it on the spot. Unlike motors, testing the switchboard is going to be a simple process of plugging the connector in. If it works with the new switches, buy it and you've solved your problem. Alternatively, you can buy a brand new control group without buttons and the plastic shroud, as it shouldn't cost you all that much. To summarize, it might seem odd, but you're actually better off troubleshooting and solving the problem that's causing the power seat not to function, rather than attempt to manually move it. A loose terminal, bad motor, or control board are not that difficult to replace, and you'll regain the full functionality of the seat. I hope this video helped. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and follow so you don't miss any of my videos.